everybody, and welcome back to SIMIAN JIMMY'S TREEHOUSE Podcast. I am SIMIAN Jimmy, joined as always by Eggy, Eggman Rodriguez.
Oh, it's fantastic to be here as always, but I gotta tell you, I'm a little different today. I'm feeling a little devious.
Uh-oh. And our special guest today is the actor who brought to life the iconic supervillain Alpha Dog in a film that I recently reviewed called C.I.Ape. Just to see him in prison delights me, the one and only Skip Schwink.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for having me on. Definite honor. Appreciate it.
Skip, what are you doing on this show? Like, you're a big Hollywood celebrity, you're a supervillain. How do you have time for this?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm all of that. Supervillain, yes, working on it daily. But, it takes a long time in Hollywood to make it in Hollywood. But I've been very lucky lately. Been doing a lot of good roles. But when this one came along, I saw this crazy character and I was like, hey, man, this is too much fun. And they just let me go crazy. So.
Yeah, how did you get involved in the C.I.Ape?
It was an audition. It was just a straight audition. I had been doing. I had to move to. I lived in Los Angeles, and I had to move to Oklahoma for personal reasons. And I was like, I'm going to act in Oklahoma. And there was a boatload of movies that came here because of the tax credit they have is phenomenal, and it's a great place to film. So that's why you're seeing a lot of stuff filmed out of here now. And I got here right when it started, so I got a bunch of good stuff. And that one came along, and I was just like, They were casting two movies, the same company at the same time, and there was a role in another movie. I was like, I think I fit that better. So I wasn't really worried about Alpha Dog. I just said, I'm just going to go crazy and have fun because I'm probably not going to get it. It's the old Robert De Niro philosophy. Once you think you're not going to get the role, do whatever you want, and you might end up getting the role more than likely.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot.
I would assume your balls-to-the-wall attitude with the character is probably what got you the role.
Yeah, the audition, I just went nuts, and even the casting director was like, that was great.
Yeah.
And then later, I got the part, and they never even called me back. I just got the role. I was like, you guys didn't even call me back. And they're like, we didn't need to. I was like, well, thank you for that.
Eggy,
that alpha male energy. I mean, I did too. I can't possibly imagine as a C.I.Ape fan, really anybody else. It just, it's like if you watch The Simpsons and Homer Simpson all of a sudden had some like high pitched voice or something. It just fits so well. When you're in the industry, I think you're able to fit those puzzle pieces together just like that.
Well, Eggy, yeah. I was going to ask you, Eggy, do you remember we were doing an episode of a show we do called Mumkey's Mailbag, where I open random fan mail that people send me, and that's how we found out about C.I.Ape. Somebody sent us the DVD in the mail randomly, and after about 5 months of it sitting on my DVD shelf, I finally decided to, we watched it actually. Eggy and I watched it that night just for fun, and I'm sure we could talk about the experience, but then about 5 months later, I decided to finally make a video review of it. And yesterday...
You're sitting around one day going, I have to make a review about this abomination.
Well, yeah, I like making videos reviewing monkey movies, and that one has been top of mind ever since I saw the Alpha Dog performance, of course. So, but then, my shock, color me shocked, 2 days ago, when I find out the actor who played Alpha Dog not only saw the video, but was seemingly supportive of it, So I was blown away that you saw it and liked it. So thanks for reaching out.
It's great, man. Any press is good press. I mean, you're out there having fun with it, and it's turning into one of those kind of movies that people are just like, dude, we got to get some beers and go sit around and watch this movie. You're going to laugh your ass off.
That is basically what we did, right, Eggy? We probably had a few drinks.
In the same year that C.I.Ape came out, I was in Minari, which was nominated for 6 Academy Awards.
You were in Minari? Wait, so what? I love Minari.
What's that?
Minari's the one where your grandma drinks the boy's pee, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Fantastic film. When I saw it, I was crying. I was like, I can't believe I'm in this movie.
Wow.
I was the doctor when they went to the doctor at the beginning.
Oh
of the
my
third
God.
act.
I'm going to rewatch that tonight. I swear to God. I have to see you in there.
It's a small scene, but it was a small movie. There's only like 20 people in it. So yeah. It's a beautiful movie to be a part of. I was very, very honored and very happy that she won for Best Supporting Actress. She was just fantastic.
Yeah, I love she's talking about Brad Pitt in her speech too. That was iconic.
Exactly. Right. No, Brad was not there. I was there. I was in and out pretty quick, and everyone's like, no, he's not here. He's not coming. I was like, oh, okay.
That's really beautiful to me because it's like as someone with a very small bit of a taste of the industry, I feel like that's really a beautiful thing where you have like a project where you can just really have such a presence and really just be as bombastic and colorful on one side, and then you're also doing a project simultaneously that's like this, more precise, calculated, award-winning type of film. I think that's a really beautiful thing to be able to mesh between both of those environments.
That's the goal of my career. I really would like to, as I go along. I love doing the big characters. Jim Carrey is trying to go large and be zany. That's just who I am as a comedian. And but I also really like doing, more dramatic, real, you could say Academy Award stuff, but stuff that challenges you like that, because that's a real big thing to go from that big to down here to subtle to like, okay, stop making funny faces. There's a lot of control that you come to when you go down to that level, and not down, I should say up to that level, and try to perform. It's a nice challenge, and I really enjoy it, and I hope I want to get better and better at that. I just actually played. It's not out yet. It'll be out sometime this year. The movie Reagan. Dennis Quaid plays Ronald Reagan, and I play Jimmy Carter opposite him.
Oh wow!
So that's pretty high profile for me. So it's very lucky to score that, and that was a great experience.
Well, Skip, at the beginning when I called you a Hollywood actor, you tried to downplay it, but you're listing off all these prestigious films that you've been in the last couple of years. Like, I don't know. I think you're pretty high up there in terms of people talking to me.
Well, it's I'm getting there. I'm working at it, and I have one of the things about going into it is just have a roadmap and understand. For me personally, my journey anyway, I should not talk for all actors, but just have an understanding of what my capabilities are, zone in on those roles. And having that, I guess, being a little older coming into it, I'm smart enough to be able to step out of myself without ego and go, okay, no, dude, you're not ready for that yet. Even though it's a big opportunity, focus over here. You'll embarrass yourself over here. So that's really helped me along the way, my own judgment. And, Carter, I could do Carter. I can impersonate him. I can look like him and wear my hair. And I kind of look like him if you squint your eyes. So... understanding that I could probably get that role. And then I did. So it was really very affirming, trusting your gut more and more as you go along.
Would you like to embody some Jimmy Carter on this program? Can we hear?
Oh, give me a minute.
Of course.
I need some peanuts or something.
Yeah. Go help some people build a house.
I really hope that he is, he's in hospice right now. And I really hope that he's able to, see the movie. And, I think he would enjoy it. Carter's not a big character in the movie because it's a montage of Reagan's entire life. But, it is a crucial part of his, big moment in his life. So I would just love to know that he gets to see that because he's in hospice right now. And not sure if he's, how he's really doing, but wish him all the best. Sending tons of prayers his way.
Yeah, I will send him a Blu-ray copy of the film. Hopefully he can get that. see, maybe...
C.I.Ape, don't send him that.
No. Well, I'll send him C.I.Ape too if we can get this thing off the ground.
I'll tell you a fun movie story if you want to hear it.
Of course.
So a couple years ago they did a big movie here, Killers of the Flower Moon with Martin Scorsese. And
yes, with Leo. Yes,
Leo and everybody. Brendan Fraser's in it. John Lithgow, and Jesse Plemons. It goes on and on and on. And so I told my agent, I was like, I got to read for something. So a couple things came through, and again, trusting my gut, going, I'm not an oil tycoon. I'm not going to come off like this. It's not that I'm a bad actor. There's a certain aesthetic that goes with it. That's not me. So it just kind of didn't quite fit. I felt confident in my performance. I just didn't look it. And it was getting close. The movie was moving along. I said, look, man, just get me on background. I just want to get on that set for a little bit and just watch these guys work. So he's like, all right. So I get in there because I know a lot of the casting people are like, all right, you can be a background. Thank you. So I get there, and for whatever reason, they throw me in the middle of a courtroom scene. So in the scene, suddenly I'm manhandling Leo while holding a death stare with De Niro walking by him out of the courtroom. I'm like, what happened? I got up this morning, took a shower like I do every day. Now I'm doing this. I mean, it was just like... And Scorsese's going, yeah, Skip, why don't you just take Leo and come like, okay, let's not take him this time. I'm just like, what the fuck? These people are saying my name.
I'm dripping with envy right now. Like, just to be in the room with any of those legends would kill me. And you're like manhandling Leo DiCaprio.
And John Lithgow was there. I got to chat with him. talked to Brendan Fraser a little bit. I saw Brendan Fraser. I was like, hey man. He's like, hey. I was like, look, I'm not bugging. I just wanted to say I was so happy when I saw that you were in this. And he was like, yeah, me too. And he was like a little kid being excited. He was a very nice guy. De Niro was cool. Got to chat with him for a while. And it was just one of those moments where I'm walking with Leo through this scene. I look over at De Niro and I think he's going to be looking at Leo or whatever. He's looking right at me. And I'm just like, I got to give this back to him. I just stayed in the character and gave him this death stare back to him and stood offside after cut. And he kind of shuffles by and looks at me and gives me a little tap, a little thumbs up. I'm like,
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I was like, probably...
all right, my career can end here. I mean, Academy Award would be nice, but De Niro just said I did all right. I'm good.
Eggy, what were you saying?
Well, just this whole experience, this whole story you're describing, to me, I feel like that's worth more than any, like Academy, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you could get a nomination or an award in the statuette, but you're in the room, with the heavy hitters, the people that, are, and they're, personally, giving you the affirmation that, supports, and they're seeing you do your thing. You've seen them do their thing for a long time and, get these accolades, and they're seeing you on, their stage, on their sets, and saying, this guy, he knows what he's doing. I feel like, to me, that would be like above and beyond any kind of just, certification or whatever, some certificate or plaque or whatever. I feel like that's the real heart of the theater right there to get that.
It really is. The confidence boost it gives you. When I did Reagan, when we did our first take or two, and the director yelled cut. The director of that movie is great. After every single cut, he's like, brilliant, go again. And I'm like, if it's brilliant, it should. But it's such fun. And Dennis, and everybody kind of comes around Dennis after the scene, and he kind of pushes over to me and just puts out his fist. He's like, dude, love what you're doing. Great job. And I was just like, oh my God, thank you. It's like, got any wardrobe? Need new underwear over here.
Yeah, that Marty Scorsese movie is probably my most hyped movie that is currently in post-production right now. I can't think of anything that seems more prestigious and awesome.
It is. It's going to be quite the spectacle. It's it's over a $250 million budget.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw where they were filming and what they did, and just the scope of it is just unbelievable. But also, although I will take it back, I did have another role in that movie. I almost forgot. While I was there, Scorsese casted me to do some voice stuff for the train station. So you hear shit in the background like, anybody wants work, track 4, shit like that you just hear as Leo's walking through or something. So I'm like, all right, my voice is over here, my face is over here. One day they'll meet with this guy.
So do you get bonus pay for doing little voices like that? How does it work with the contract?
Well, that's just all union stuff. So, different pay scales for whether you're seen or heard type of thing.
Yeah. Well, it might seem like an obvious thing, but I am truly brain dead when it comes to this industry stuff, and I always like to learn about it. So if I ask a dumb question, let me know.
No, it's just typical. Sorry, I'm not trying to play it down. No, it is. Of course, there's different rates for, you see in a movie where, the lead runs up, so, which way to go? And the guy points, and the lead runs off. That guy probably got about $100. The lead runs up in another movie and said, where'd he go? And the guy said, he went over there. That guy gets about $1,000.
Based on the number of words?
No, just based on whether or not you talk.
Oh, okay. Okay.
One's a background, one's a day player.
Okay, yeah. Well, I always like to learn about that kind of stuff. Eggy, did you get paid anything when you were in that documentary?
Yes. No, not to toot my own horn, but I do bring up, to the random people that I, work with at my menial labor job over the last 7 months. Yes, I got to be, there was a film called Feels Good Man, which was, it's, otherwise known as the Pepe the Frog movie. It kind of explores, the meme culture in a way online. And anyway, but it got a Sundance nomination, and then it got a Sundance award for the director. He was an illustrator for many years. He'd worked for many publications like New York Times or whatever, but it was his directorial debut, and he got an award for that. But I mean, a lot of, as far as straight pay, I probably somewhere in the ballpark of maybe, I want to say $1,000 perhaps, but also all accommodations, travel, all that was all included, besides just the straight pay. So a lot, all that in consideration, it was probably, a couple thousand for, we did filming in, I think, March of 2018. But then the film kind of continued developing throughout that year. Originally, it was going to be very sort of centered around just people like me who were like internet meme people versus the bigger picture. But as they went on and they got more filming and they sort of increased the scope of the film a little bit to be a little more wide-reaching, which I think was better for the film in the end. But so we ended up doing more filming October of 2018, and it was pretty fun. We went to like a haunted hayride with me, the director, and the camera guy, like, carrying around this big shoulder-mounted camera, and we told, the guy at the hayride, oh yeah, we're YouTubers, so yeah, we'll credit you, and we're like, I don't know, there's like probably a good couple hours of footage that was left on the cutting room floor of just different shenanigans we got into. We went to a karaoke bar and all these different things, but
yeah, when are we getting the Feels Good Man director cut 10-hour edition?
Well, before I sort of, through no fault of my own, mind you, lost my Twitter account due to a misrepresentation that I was doing some sort of harm to the platform. I just don't understand. But anyways, I would message them back and forth. They had an official Twitter account for the film. And so it's been a couple of years now, but they had actually been drawing up a sort of spiritual sequel, kind of further investigating the impact of some of these meme movements and things online that they were going to contact me about, but haven't heard anything, and I haven't heard any, not just me being contacted, but I haven't heard anything in general, so maybe they had other things going on, but in any case, it was a fun experience. The guy who, the producer for that, who I got to spend a good amount of time with, he did the My Friend Dahmer, I believe, film adaptation. That was kind of like his sort of number one thing at that time. But yeah, it was just a lot of fun. We got to just go around and do a lot of goofy stuff. But I think, so all that was, included food and travel and Airbnbs and, nice dinners and all that. So
and no matter how much money the movie makes, you got to sit there with your $1,000 though. That's the thing. Even though you're like the face of the whole film.
You know what? And I would I'd do it all over again. Yeah, that's one thing.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. Like, the experience itself is worth it for me. Like, if I I would act with Leo in a movie for free. So getting paid anything is like just the cherry on top.
I love traveling for movies, and that's what got me going, diving back hard into acting. I was studying. I'm a filmmaker. I did that for a long time, and then I went back and started studying comedy again and doing stand-up comedy in LA. And then I got called. A friend of mine said, "Hey, can you fill in for somebody that ducked out of this movie?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've been training. I'm just getting back in acting." Like, perfect. So they flew me up to Washington State, went up to Roslyn, and actually it was a movie about this kid having this quarter-life crisis who's looking for a Bigfoot. And I'm the scam artist that takes him on a hike and then rips him off in the middle of the night and leaves.
What's that movie called?
It's called Ape Canyon.
Ape Canyon. Oh,
I got this monkey thing going.
Yeah, you get typecast in ape movies.
Exactly. Next thing you know, we're going to be doing Every Which Way But Loose, the old Clint Eastwood movie. I'm going to be in there with an orangutan.
That'd be good. Well, as you saw in my my review of C.I.Ape, I advocate for the use of authentic monkey actors. Now, obviously, C.I.Ape, you can't do that movie with a real monkey. But what are your thoughts on using live animals on set? Because I know there's like some cruelty issues and humanitarian things. Have you had any experience with that?
I've worked a long time in the industry. I started in the 90s in Los Angeles in music videos, and I worked with lots of animals. I mean, we were I'll tell you a story. We were doing the Hypnotize video with Biggie and Puffy. I was a second AD on that, and my job was to take care of Biggie. He's like, director's like, just, the producers always put me with talent because I got along with them because I wasn't ever trying to kiss their ass. I was just chilling with them.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know why they like you. And I'm like, because I'm not trying to get something out of them.
Right.
Like in order to, but anyway, so Biggie was a really, really good guy, and we really hit it off. And there was a moment in the video where he's got to be with, like, I think it was a lion or a tiger or something. And he comes up to me and he's like, hey, Skip. I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, how long I got to fuck with this lion? I'm like, oh, I don't I don't know, man. You have to ask the director on that one. He's like, I ain't trying to fuck with no lions. I said, I ain't trying to fuck with no lions either.
That's right.
So we're sitting there laughing about it. So about 10 minutes later, he's out on set. He's got a chain, and lions over here, and he's a decent amount away from it, but you can just see he's nervous. He's kind of looking around. He spots me, and he's just like, man, I'm like, hey, man, that's all right. They did one take, and the director's like, all right, good, let's do it again. Biggie's like, nope, dropped the chain, walked off set.
Is that the one? That's the take they use?
In the video, you don't see many shots of him with the lion because they only shot it one time.
Yeah. The more you know. Let's go add that to the Rap Genius website, Eggy, and get that fun fact on there.
That's right.
Biggie don't fuck with lions.
So is that a pro working with live animals or an anti-story?
It's you know what it is. It's when you work at those levels, there's trainers, so it's all professionally done. I mean, I never ran into anything where anybody was treating anybody badly, any animals badly whatsoever, and so it can take time because it's an animal. You just want it to do its thing. But like a lot of the times when you use animals in movies, at least the things I worked on, there wasn't a lot of action with the animal. You know, it's like we were in the desert and had camels. So they're not exactly going to be running around chasing them down or, anything. So it wasn't, no, I never saw anything bad. And working with animals, it's not bad. It's just expensive. Animal wranglers are very expensive, especially if you need a trick. Like if you have a scene in a movie and you see a dog does a particular trick, there's a trainer off camera that did that. It costs a lot of money because they had to train that animal for a long period of time. And that animal might have a few specialties of, they can do double flip, they can do this. So you might see that same dog pop up in a movie, in a TV show, because he can do this fun little thing.
Do you think that the cost of the CGI budget offsets like the training and the animal cost at all, or is it just really not comparable?
I know. That's CGI, like good CGI, like Sonic or something like that,
Well, that's going to be super expensive, but like...
Right, it's like $35 million just for the fixes on it.
Yeah, but did C.I.Ape save money by like not even bothering with an animal?
I don't know any side of the budget or anything like that, but I know it was always intended. That company had a niche that they like to do where, if you remember in the 90s or the early aughts, there was these kid-friendly, family-friendly movies with at least one CGI lead character. So that wasn't really around. They're like, well, let's try that. So they started doing original content with that in mind. So they've done a few movies like that. So that's their niche. So I knew that going in that's what he was going to be. So I didn't know what I was looking at, but I knew in the end scene, I was like, he just walked by. I should do something. I need to talk to him for a second. So the director was like, come up with something. I was like, all right. There was a lot of... When you're on set,
is it just a theater of the mind? Like there's nobody in a little green screen suit or anything?
Oh, no, nothing like that. Theater of the mind. Like, what am I looking at? Okay, look at the C-stand right here. Okay.
Have you heard the story of the actor who played Gandalf is like weeping because he's surrounded by green screens and acting isn't real to him anymore?
That's why he did such a great performance.
Yeah, in the Hobbit movie.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. Well, hey, I learned today there was no little man in a green suit. It was all just pretend there's a C.I.Ape right there.
Just acting with nothing there, just kind of, which in some strange way, really, because I could just imagine whatever I wanted. I could play off of nothing. So I was playing off my imagination, which I do all the time anyway. So I was right at home doing that little moment with them, which was fun. And that was on set. The whole time I was like, man, if this even did well, I have an idea for the sequel, which you read. I pictured them buddying up. I'm like, I love it when the bad guy has to team up with the good guy to get the badder guy.
Yeah, that was and if we're going to talk about the script for the second one that me and Eggy have read through now, that was my initial thought as well, was this feels like my favorite anime, like a moment in One Piece where the main character teams up with a former villain it's a classic trope and it always works. It always feels good. And I've never seen it and thought, man, I wish they weren't doing that, So I think that was the perfect angle for the sequel. And
the only thing we can do is just don't give away the super weapon. I'm just nervous about that.
Okay, yeah. Is there anything else we should not spoil?
You know what? How is this not something somewhere already?
Right.
Oh my God, this is what's going to get the movie made.
Well, is there anything you don't want us to spoil? Because I have a few things I wanted to bring up about the...
No, just really that. I mean, the rest of it's just, pretty fun story. I don't think it's really going to ruin much of anything.
Yeah.
But for my first question is only a couple of people have, not I should say more than a couple, but everyone's reaction has been pretty positive. So I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. And don't hold back because I'm here. Keep it Abomination style if you need to keep it Abomination style.
So I think when I complained about C.I.Ape, it was because any scene that did not feature either your character or C.I.Ape felt like a waste of time to me, because I'm only here to see the wacky villain and the monkey. So in the car, when C.I.Ape and Alpha Dog are together, and Alpha Dog takes C.I.Ape's headset and throws it out the window, I basically stood up and clapped. Like, yes, thank you. Let's just focus on these two.
And that's what the feedback was. I had the idea for the storyline, but when I went to write it, which you're not going to believe me, but when I finally sat, I'd just written another script and it was a comedy, and I'm like, I was itching to write another. I'm like, I feel like I, oiled my creative side up here. I'm ready to go. So that poured out. I wrote C.I.Ape in 5 days.
This new one or the
new one, the Mission Devious, and I just poured out because it was this straight, quick story. I wanted to keep it simple, take out all the extraneous storyline from the first one, and just focus it on this fast-paced, fun story that almost has this Bourne identity. The CIA guys are in a control room. They're out here. We got to find them and catch them. Back and forth. That whole storyline I thought would be fun for it, and I think I personally love it.
And I also like that. And I hope this does not spoil too much, but halfway through, C.I.Ape is incapacitated basically for the entirety of the rest of the film, and Alpha Dog becomes the main character. And again, yes, chef's kiss, that's what I want. Save the CGI budget. C.I.Ape is not even charismatic whatsoever. I'm fine with losing him and having him be the damsel in distress. When it becomes the Alpha Dog picture and he teams up with an 8-year-old genius supervillain girl, I think that's when the movie truly shines.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, that was always my intention. And it was, again, listening to what people said. They were like, ripping the movie apart. You watch this movie to see it, an ape, and he's gone for most of the movie. And I was like, you know what? I want to fuck with everybody again and get rid of him for most of the movie, but I want it to have purpose this time.
Well, yeah, and C.I.Ape is how you get the butts in the seats. I came for the ape and I stayed for the Alpha Dog. I think that's a fine attitude
but 100% what you said too. It's the budget. I'm like, there's no way that I can have him buddying around with him the whole movie. We will never have the budget for that. This was the director read it and loves it, and we're trying to get it going. And he goes, we just have to be careful. You have him talking a lot. And I'm like, I know, that's expensive, right? He goes, that does get expensive very quickly. I'm like, all right. So, we're kind of right there at the edge of that's about how much he could be in the movie. That's it. You're not getting any more, buddy.
It was just fine with me. If anything, maybe cut out a few more of C.I.Ape's lines, we don't really need him that much. I did have that question, though, about the voice actor. Do you know why they had a different voice in the trailer for the original film?
That completely threw me off, too. I remember seeing the trailer, and I was like, okay, that voice isn't too bad. I like that. And then I saw the movie, I was like, just to be honest, I didn't like the voice.
Yeah,
I was not
excuse me?
I just didn't think it quite fit.
Yeah,
the voice in the movie.
Yeah, I feel the same way. No offense to that actor, of course.
But that voice that's in the trailer, it sounds familiar. So sometimes, you might spend a bit more money on, you might not have your voice casted yet for that character, but you want your trailer out or something. So you have somebody else that's maybe turns out to be too expensive for the whole thing, but they sound great in the trailer. I mean, that's just me trying to think, but I don't know what their reason was.
Eggy, did you have any thoughts on the script?
As a man who is very in tune with his culinary senses, the, maybe kind of seemingly spontaneous fast food scenes, they really spoke to me. Immediately, I mentioned, or I should say, I would like to mention that reading through the script and having seen the previous film, when I'm reading through the script for the sequel here, everything is just popping. It's all, I can visualize the entire, everything in my head, the make and model of the muscle car, the costumes, the sets, everything is coming to mind for me. And so when I'm reading through these little fast food portions, I'm imagining, just this wacky set that could be made for this fast food, this inexplicably amazing fast food, which does not come around very often. I think there's a quote in the line there that it's that is it a franchise? Maybe they couldn't franchise it because it's just a secret blend, whatever they got going on.
It's the grill. Don't clean the grill.
Well, there's a secret bar called Supervillains where all the supervillains go to. Could this restaurant also maybe be like some sort of supervillain restaurant? That's why it's so evilly delicious and nobody's ever heard of it before.
That's an excellent idea.
Yeah, all these secret places that Alpha Dog goes to are like owned by this weird shadow company.
That is one thing we can talk about in the script if you want to. I really tried to open, I don't mind talking about this because every show has this. I tried to open up the world of C.I.Ape to other possibilities as well by bringing in the supervillain bar and these ridiculous supervillains, and then also followed up with the conversation at Jungle Command when they're talking about what superheroes are in town. Oh no, they're in another dimension. So I start to make this fun, goofy superhero, multi-dimensional world, its own little, desperately wanting to be Marvel-esque kind of thing to it, which I think could be fun if you just keep the silly. Like if we made it and let's say it did well, you can make another one, or you can pick up a character and do something over here because they're all silly and fun. I think if you just have good scripts and have good casting, you could have a whole bunch of great kids movies that would just be wildly entertaining.
Yeah, and I think even a simple evaluation of basic world-building elements can engender very natural plot progression. For example, as I was reading this, I was thinking, in this world, why can C.I.Ape speak English? Is he the only animal in this world that can do this? And if not, why can't this be replicated? How did he learn it? And could somebody teach another animal? Because we have Dr. Devious, who's obsessed with guinea pigs. Maybe if C.I.Ape was somehow genetically tested on to make him more human, could that have been part of Dr. Devious's plot? He wants to use the gene therapy to make his guinea pigs more human. Things like that. Just you think about how the world works and you can come up a whole bunch of different story ideas, I think.
Yeah, I tried to, whenever I write, I've written a lot of scripts. I used to write and direct and still want to. In a real perfect world, I would direct this, but I would not expect or ask for that at all at the moment. I had a purpose when I started that sentence and I lost it.
It happens to me every second of my life.
I have to go to the bathroom so bad I can't think. Give me just a second.
Yeah, let's take a break real quick. Is Trump getting arrested today, or is that just a joke?
Well, I just got a headline, Google Buzz headline or whatever, anticipating an indictment tomorrow. So I don't know.
Tomorrow he's getting, for real, like handcuffed, do you think?
I don't know. Apparently, I heard there was something to do with. Once again, I only read headlines because
right.
I got important things to do, like nothing.
That's right.
I think it was something to do that he paid off Stormy Daniels. This was also another headline that came up today, is that she's gonna do a TikTok dance in Times Square when he gets arrested or something. I don't know.
I think public streets are the last place I want to be when Donald Trump gets arrested. I think I'll be bunkered up at home.
Let me tell you something. I'm in Oklahoma. Holy cow. Everyone's going to be...
Is there tension in the streets right now?
But no. You know what? It's honestly, it's like, it's in the news, but nobody really seems to care.
Okay. Hopefully.
That's kind of my day job is in the news. I work for a local TV station as a cameraman. And it's not really a big topic at all.
Well, really, this podcast is coming out on Thursday, so we might be eating crow when this comes out and half the country's burning. Oops.
Right. I take it all back. Could you believe that happened? It was amazing, right? I predicted the whole thing, really.
Yeah, I predicted it from the very beginning. Okay,
so, man, I was sitting there while I was going to the bathroom. I was like, God, how many stories I could tell you guys just from even the... I'm looking at creating my own podcast and just like about a dozen episodes of telling some pretty crazy stories from my time working in LA in the 90s. Everyone told me I should write a book. I was like, dude, you got to write about these stories. They're hilarious. Working with Van Halen, like Chaka Khan and Whitney Houston and DMX and Biggie and Puffy and Korn and just on, and just such fun nonsense things would happen, on different sets with different talent. And it's a lot of fun stories.
Oh, I would love to hear any of those stories.
I think you could call it Skip Schwink, the Renaissance man, from being with the notorious B.I.G. to Jimmy Carter over
it's like the old Jim Meadows skit. This is Skip Schwink. I'm the Renaissance man here with my Cavassier. Going to tell you some stories about working with the Diddy and the Biggie.
Listen, I don't listen to too many podcasts, but I would definitely subscribe and share and click all the algorithm buttons on that one. I tell you.
Oh, I appreciate that. I recorded a couple of episodes, but I'm not happy with them, so I'm re-recording. But that's just like me. If I'm like, if it's not perfect, why in the world would I do it? But I'll tell you a story real quick if you want to hear one. So if I ever wrote a book, it was going to be called "You Want Me to Do What?" Because when you're coming up being a PA, AD, all that, you just get the craziest things happen and get requested because you're dealing with talent. Not that they're just needy celebrities, just life. I was sitting on set one day, it was at night, and my producer walks up next to me and was like, "Hey man," I'm like, "What's up?" And he's like, "I need you to go to the store and buy Shaka Khan tampons." I just look at him real slow, like almost Stewie Griffin turned and be like, "I'm gonna do what?" He's like, "Yeah, dude, I know. What do I even get?" He's like, "I don't know. Here's a bunch of money. Just get everything." And then the story goes on from there. But that's just like, it's
like, one of those random things that happens.
So you're just kind of in your car going, so this is my life now. All right. This is what I do.
Yeah, I'm getting paid to go on a tampon delivery.
I was working with Van Halen. I came out of their green room with their manager, and they were having a little tiff, and I was just kind of off to the side, minding my own business. And she's like, "You want to manage Van Halen?" I'm like, "Hey, as much fun as that sounds, I don't think so. A lot of drama going on here. I'm good." But it's a lot of fun stories, and I think sharing them, people would get a real kick out of them because they're all lighthearted. There's nothing mean that I ran into or anybody treating me badly. I was very lucky in the time that I spent working in the industry during that period of time because they don't do that anymore with music videos. They were like, when we did Hypnotize, it was a $2 million budget, and we had like sushi at craft service. It was unbelievable. It was really a heyday of that, and to be part of all that stuff. I worked my way up to directing, and like right when I got repped as a director, reality TV took over. It's like Real World, and I was like, "What the fuck is the Real World? What's going on here? What happened to videos?" And like, nobody's paying any money. I'm like, "What?" I'm like, wah, wah, wah. All my friends that were directors ahead of me go on to become studio directors and are, big, huge names now. And I was like, I was right there. Wait for me.
So you seem to have rose-colored glasses for all these stories. Are you sure you don't have any, like one particularly horrendous experience, and you can be anonymous about who it was?
A horrendous experience with someone?
Yeah. Maybe not, but I feel like it's got to happen sometimes.
I'm thinking of some pretty big names, working with Will Smith. He was great. Nothing
He
happened.
didn't slap you, really?
Didn't slap me, didn't slap
I don't
anybody.
believe you.
Looking back on it, I'm surprised now, but I'm glad he did.
Yeah, I bet his wife was hitting on you and everything, but, he restrained.
No, more stressed directors. Directors can get stressed. Talent really never flipped out. I had funny instances with talent when I didn't recognize them. Like I was working on this one production on this Sony lot, and they were like, "Take this." It was Martin Short was in what we were filming. They're like, "Take this coffee maker and put it in, Martin's trailer." I was like, "Oh, okay." And I hadn't met him yet. I kind of just got there. I go knock on his trailer, and this person answers the door, and I didn't recognize him at all. I was in full costume, like he's getting ready to go to set. I just kind of glanced and said, "I was just told to set this coffee maker in the trailer." "Oh yeah, come on in." Put it down. I turn around, and once I really look, I'm like, "Oh my God, Mr. Short, I'm sorry, it's you. I didn't mean to barge in. I could have waited." It's like, "You're fine." Had a nice chat, bummed a smoke from him. I smoked at the time and just, went to set, and that was my day at work. I was like, "Where do I live?"
Mm-hmm.
So, I haven't run into anybody that was bad. I'm really trying to think. It's hard because there was a lot of marijuana back then.
Everybody had an easier demeanor.
Yeah, everybody had it easier. The 80s was apparently cocaine. I missed that, thank God, because we'd be at some studios going, "Yeah, they used to shoot for like 30 hours. There'd be a big pile of cocaine in the green room.
Wow.
Crips come in and snort it all up. Rather than getting extra pay, they just got high all day." I was like, what kind of world was this?
And that's when movies were the best, too. I'll take 80s movies any day.
Those 80s movies are good. They're knocking it out of the park. People are working hard. And then in the 90s, everything got real slow because everybody turned to weed and, slowed down.
Yeah. So is everybody on Adderall now on the Hollywood set?
Say that again?
Is everybody doing Adderall on the Hollywood sets now?
No. It's all green smoothies, clean and sober these days.
Oh, that's why these movies are so lame.
There's no edge to them anymore. Yeah. If they made Taxi Driver, it'd be an 8K and the streets would be swept.
He'd be Uber driver.
Like, there was dirt on that road. That's not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I wanted to say to you about the script? You have seem to have people enjoy your podcast. You know, like 40,000 views and stuff.
So, on this podcast, not 40,000. We're lucky to get about 4,000 normal.
Well, still, even that. What I was going to say to you, if you want, you're a big fan of the ape. I was going to do it on the podcast and offer you a deal.
Oh, I'm listening.
There is a role in the movie, if you remember, known as the pet shop worker person. That comes out and said, you know that line? What does he say? Hey, you freak, quit licking the glass. You're freaking out like guinea pigs.
Yeah, right.
Something like that. Well, anyway.
It's curious you say that because...
You helped me, and I can put you in that role if it ever comes to fruition as a movie.
Right. Let me ask you this, because I was going to bring this up to you. Do you know what I look like in real life?
I saw your pictures.
Okay, so... maybe you saw like my Instagram edited version, but in real life, I would say, I don't know the name of the actor who plays Dr. Devious, but I would say I look like I could be his ugly cousin. I think we look very similar. So if you're gonna put me in a scene with him, it might be weird because we do look very, very similar. But I would be willing to do it.
You just have to be a relative.
Yeah, it could be.
But anyway, I was going to say, what I was doing is trying to get the change.org petition to keep going, because I think there's like 500 and some signatures. Like 8,000 people looked at it, but only 500 signatures. You know, it's like I want to do a routine about that. What are you, too good for a monkey?
Yeah, too much effort to type in your name?
Right. Sorry to ask for your name. I know you're here to like do something like paint new flowers or something to help the world. We're just trying to make some kids laugh. Sorry to bug you.
Trying to make a great monkey film.
Right, it's for the children.
Wait,
and my career.
So is the deal here, if I, right now, tell everybody, hey, let's go sign this petition, and if it happens, I can be in the film. Is that what you're offering right now?
Yes, I am. Pet shop owner.
I'm 100% down. Everybody, link in the description to this petition. Let's make this happen.
Do you know who I want for those sort of goofball idiots that work at Jungle Command? Like the young guys? That are like worker 1, worker 2, worker 3.
Who?
Do you ever? I know you've heard of it. The podcast Unspeakable.
Remind me.
That's kind of like Jackass Light, where they just live in a house in Texas and they're goofballs and they act like idiots. They have like 30 million subscribers.
Oh,
My
wow.
8-year-old daughter just is in love with them, thinks that they're the greatest thing, and they're hilarious. And they actually just had a hide and seek episode where they were at John Travolta's house. So they're very, very popular, and they're in Texas, so they're not far from me. I'm like, well, you know what? We'll reach out. If they want to do it. I think letting those guys go in there and even ad-lib and make stuff funnier, kind of like a Three Stooges almost feel in those little moments with them, that would be hilarious.
Yeah, if we can get him on, if you can get him, that'd be great.
Right, but as far as the pet shop owner is concerned, you have to be able to put Simian Jimmy in the credits as your name.
Oh, I prefer that. It's much more recognizable. And if I somehow cannot achieve it, I know Eggy can take my place because he has been in many a film himself.
Well, I could also, I'm not pumping out the content as much these days since I decided, switch back to the old 9-to-5 grind.
It'd be a great idea. Both you guys be in the scene, because there's not in the movie. There's no two people aren't memed at the same time.
Spoilers!
That could be a double meme moment.
You're spoiling the movie.
No. I'm talking about when it comes out and what people will do with you.
Okay.
I mean, no, I'm not spoiling the movie.
You spoiled the weapon.
Both of you guys are in it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah,
so
we're
I
good.
can, because also I need to, I have been needing to speak on, there's a friend of mine, Brian Cumby, who is also going to be making his directorial debut in a film that he plans to begin shooting for a couple of months from now.
Also in Texas.
So, yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I ought to be, promoting that film, and then also, why not promote two fantastic cinematic masterpieces with one, stone, so to speak. Also, can make sure people are being directed to that petition, because at least I know for sure myself that if I were to indicate that I might have any screen time in this production, that would surely draw at least a couple hundred more signatures for sure.
So true.
Why in the world wouldn't I? You guys are great. Total fun. We're not making we're not making The Godfather over here. It's C.I.Ape Mission Devious. So
the Ape Father.
But here's the challenge you guys have. After that review, convincing everybody that the second one is fucking forget the first one. Focus on the second one. That's why there's some jokes in there that even the director got a kick out of when we were talking about it. He about when those kids come around, it's like, who's Alpha Dog? What do you mean? You didn't see the first movie? Oh, and then he finally sees it and he's like, oh, I watched it. And I'm like, oh, really? Sorry, man.
I had one idea for a joke in the movie, and I want to run it by you, and you can tell me that it sucks, but it might not even be appropriate for a kid's film. But towards the beginning, Sam the monkey, he lands on the roof and he incapacitates two guards in an impressive way. And the girl who's his friend, a 17-year-old girl, Bondi, I think is her name. She's always talking in his ear, and she says in the script, okay, that was pretty cool. Round of bananas on me for that one. Okay, standard monkey joke.
Absolutely.
Here's my idea for spicing it up, and let me know if this is too far.
Sure.
What if instead she says, okay, that was cool. First round of banana daiquiris are on me tonight. Then the military guy, he looks at her like, I don't know about that. And she smiles and says, virgin, of course. I can tell by the laughter you loved it.
Well, I know. As soon as you said it, I was like, no, I could hear the producers going, no. Yeah. That makes us PG. I'm like, oh.
A virgin strawberry daiquiri is PG? I don't want to live in that world.
I'm kidding. Yeah. I mean, anything to spice up some of those first lines, because honestly, I just kind of cut and paste those characters from the first movie.
Yeah.
Just to get to the scene in the room when you find that Council of Crime and the idiotic conversation that they have.
I do love the Council of Crime, and that the opening scene of this movie just completely dissolves them, like after they were built up in the previous one. C.I.Ape very quickly just eliminates them.
Right, and by accident, everything, stumbling around, riding a robo-dog, just kind of tying in the first one, tying up the loose ends, moving on. But instead of, going to a park, doing this, just filling time, I'm like, this needs a pace. Let's just get to the movie. Have that opening set up. He's got the super weapon, do the titles, and then let's just, the guy even references it, the chief, when he says, I wish we had time for hot dogs and some Frisbee in the park, but we have blah, blah, blah. So I even bring those little moments and reference them in it, but blow by them because it's like, let's just get it going.
Right. Get to the meat and potatoes of the movie.
I'm that kind of person when I write. I'm like, this is extraneous. Yes, I love you too, but people don't need to hear it. All right, let's go.
And that's what makes the script work for me, is that it's 90 pages and there's no wasted time. We're not doing fluff at the park. We're not doing a stupid romance between two teenagers like anybody wants to see that. We're just going straight to what they want.
Yeah, just straight goofiness. The one thing I will talk about, because I've seen it and stuff before, it's not like I invented it, was the pants. I was like, I just came to me while I was writing. I was just like, he's got cards in his pants, and he's got a sword in his pants. He can have anything in his pants. When you're writing and that creative hits you, and I was like, oh my God. So that opening, when he kind of signs for all of his stuff in jail when he's getting out, straight up stolen, in my mind, visually, shot for shot, the opening of the Blues Brothers. When John Belushi is getting out of prison, they open up the big gate, Dan Aykroyd's over here, they meet in the middle. I just pictured that whole thing with this, except he gets all of this stuff, when the guy's like, and all of this stuff came out of your pockets. How is that possible? Super villain pants.
That's right.
Don't try not to take over the world. No promises. He signs, takes off. But so there's a lot of little movie moments that I'm like, I like that. Let's just put that here.
Yeah, speaking of which, there's one other. At the beginning, Sam reveals he has this Indiana Jones-esque fear of spiders. And I was wondering if in the scene at the middle point when he gets captured, could it not be because he was incapacitated by his fear of a spider, and that's why he gets caught?
The thing, yes, that's a good idea, because I mean, even when I go back and look at the script going, I never go back to that. I set this thing up and I never do anything with it again. That's really a first movie type of thing. So I've been trying to think of a way to incorporate that. That's very interesting. He could see a spider out of the corner of his eye. It throws him off, and that's why he gets hit by the X1.
That's right.
Right.
All right, hold up. Wait, let me drop my 2 cents in here. So the end by the water, you gotta. Well, I don't know. You probably can't have a lake skimmer. We have those in the Midwest, but I don't have lake skimmers on saltwater. But maybe a sand burrowing spider of some kind. I don't know. We could, kind of do like a, 3-point throughout the film. But that's just something that just came to mind just now while you guys were talking about that.
I hear you. That might be at that point slightly overkill. It's like the movie's wrapping up. Just leave the moment sweet. Let everybody have a hug and a funny line and get out.
Yeah.
That's why I can't say it. Dang it. It's one of my favorite things is that thing that happens at the end. When I was writing, I'm like, what am I going to put here? And I'm like, oh, yeah, perfect. Everybody's got to pee right now.
That is a very, very good ending. I agree. I completely agree when I saw that, when I read that.
I had one other question about a joke in here.
Okay. So, ask as many as you want. I got all day.
This is really the last one. So you're talking about you want to get those guys from Texas to play like these 3 idiots who are working for the CIA.
Right.
And one of the punchlines for their stupidity is they were homeschooled, weren't they? And I feel like that might be unnecessary shade to homeschooled kids. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, you're 100% right. That's kind of just in there because I've had like 5, 6, 7 different lines there, and that's just at the moment what's more of a placeholder. I mean, at one point he was like, "What are we recruiting from DeVry?" It was just
that's better.
Yeah, I think that might be better too. I wasn't sure which line was in there at this moment on that draft.
But, that was my only thought.
I don't think I would ever record the line. That line would never make it in the movie. The one that's in there right now.
Oh, really?
I don't want to pick on homeschool kids.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So how often do they just like ignore the script on set and make up something else? Is it like
in the first one?
Like in any movie, really?
Well, in the first one, almost all of it.
Really?
Well, the thing about the first script was the director and I talked and like, man, there's a lot of room in here to kind of be funny and do stuff. And then budgetary wise, some of the visuals that were in the script were like, we're not going to be able to do it like that. Like the supervillains in that room waiting for me. I mean, if I'm correct, it was there was going to be this room I walk into and you'd see them as these sort of CGI, more heads on the wall kind of thing. Like they're just beaming in for a meeting,
They're not sitting around a table in the library. Not just
sitting around eating Ace Entertainment pizza. It's
iconic though. All the villains sitting around the library table is very funny. So I'm glad they didn't do the CGI heads.
And like when we were in there, we're like, okay, they come up and go, I'm going to have this. We're not going to be able to do that. So we're going to do this thing where we're going to have this kind of, you're going to go around and do this therapy thing where you're going to ask, say what you like about another. Now we went around to every character. He trimmed it down to just Chrome Dome losing it or something at the end of it. But there was some funny stuff that we were doing. But like the chair making all the noise, that wasn't in the script. I was like, hey, how about if I grab this chair and just drag it forever? And you put an obnoxious sound in there. Like, that's great, do that. So I was
whatever fills the time, do it.
And like most of that scene was just me ad-libbing, just coming, except for this scene. And I can't believe they used it because I literally remember doing it was when I dragged the chair over and I sit and you hear me just go real low going, oh, why am I always standing? My feet really did hurt, and it felt amazing when I sat down. That was me being me, and I went, all right. And I just snapped back in the character.
And they threw it in the movie?
They kept it in. I was like, holy shit, that's hilarious. Or like the mumbling all the time when I'm leaving. That wasn't in the script. I was just saying shit.
Just the eccentricity of the character at that point?
I love comedy characters when they're exiting a room and they mumble something funny. Yeah. If it's a really funny character and he's walking out and he's like, just simple. That was exhausting, whatever, I love K-pop. Just nonsense.
Was the random Alpha Dog dance sequence in the original script?
No, that got thrown at me. And the director wanted me to learn how to just do dance. He wanted me to do some stuff. And I'm like, he wanted me to do like some hip hop stuff in this. I'm like, nah, you're going beyond my stuff. I thought I could break dance, and I think I break danced for like a month in 6th grade. Pretty much about it for me, unless we're slow dancing at a wedding. And so I was just like, he goes, "Are you ready?" And I'm like, "What do you got?" And I was like, I'm not going to be able to do it the way you want. Let's just embrace him as an idiot who can't dance. So plus it was brutal doing that scene. It was like 110 degrees, and there were like 3 layers of leather on.
Oh my God!
After every take, they were like, "You ready to go?" I'm like, just. Yes, because there was no AC in the building and it was middle of summer in Oklahoma. So we were under God's magnifying glass going, "Is that hot enough for you?"
Speaking of that costume, that was one of my favorite parts of the movie. Do you still have any of those pieces?
wish I'd have kept the hat, but no, I don't have any of it.
Dang.
They kept it. They really piecemealed that together, like you said in your podcast, that you know are well aware of. So kudos to them for even doing that. And anybody who saw it when I was filming it, they were like, "Are you Bison's cousin or something?" Like,
M.
no.
Bison?
Yeah. I was like, no, but but if you're going to compare me to Raul Julia, take it all day long.
Well, at least since I did message the costume designer as we were watching the film and very impressed by that costume, we have, if ever needs a recreation, I've got the laundry list there of what to look for.
So we can go recreate it 3 ways?
I will say I'll be proud to get back into it if it happens, because I would have to be taken in a little bit, lost a little bit of weight. Alpha Dog got himself in shape while he was in prison.
Oh, boy. That's why we got the Macho Man song in the beginning of the script.
Right. Well, you know what the script is? When I sat down, the structure of it is 48 hours. If you remember the old Eddie Murphy, Nick Nolte movie, it's 48 hours. He has to get Eddie Murphy out of jail so he can go find the guy he used to be a criminal with, who's now a cop killer. So they have 48 hours to go find this guy. Same idea, taking him out of prison to go find a guy.
We are coming up at about an hour, so if we have any final topics we want to evaluate with you, Skip. Eggy, did you have anything you wanted to talk about, or even Skip if you did?
Well, I could just say sort of my thoughts. I had very similar opinions to Mr. Simian Jimmy in regards to his sort of review of the original film, but as I was reading through the script for the sequel, it was just all good, all just gets a thumbs up for me from start to finish. Like I said, everything was very easily visualized as I was reading through. I feel like it is very well written to appeal to the target demographic, but then you do have those sort of nods to older films that an older audience that's watching it perhaps with their children could appreciate. I think it's a real step up on all levels, and I'm excited for it. And prior to this conversation today, I knew I had seen on your Instagram where I'm following you, I'd seen that you had the part in Tulsa King, but I had no idea just the depth and the history of your career in general. And it's been very interesting and very cool to hear that. And if you start a podcast recounting some of those stories, I'd absolutely be a subscriber. And I think that's about what I got on my mind.
Eggy, thank you, man. Very cool of you to say. I appreciate that. Hey, what did you guys think of the girl, the young girl, Devin Devious character?
I had it in my mind that this was essentially like a young Sheldon type of character, but like pure evil. And I think that's something that I have not seen in a movie done, at least in a funny way, in a long time. I think the real problem will be finding the correct child actor, but if you can nail that, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Insider
secret, I wrote the part for my daughter.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess
we have a banter that is ridiculous. I'm thinking of the script. Now, I'll give you a situation that just happened. I'll give you 2 real quick. The other day, I was like sitting there thinking, wow, my mom was 79 yesterday. My daughter's playing a video game right next to me. Without looking at me, he goes, yeah, still is. I was like, what? We're driving in the car. There's a lot of traffic. I'm like, God, people in Oklahoma can't drive. She's in the back playing a video game. Yeah, you're one of them. I'm like, you're a freaking supervillain. You're going to be in the movie.
The adult sarcasm in a child is always very funny.
Oh, dude, that's why it's like I loved writing that character. And she's walking away. It's like, how come you don't want it? It's because it's ridiculous, just and then getting out of the scene, knowing the right moment to punch for her lines. I really wrote a lot of those scenes to punch her lines more than anything, because it was such a fun character to write, because in the first movie, the young ladies that are in it, they don't have much to do with it, or they're kind of broken characters. And I'm like, no, I want a strong young lady in there, to represent and show some strength. And I think that Devin Devious is just one of my favorite characters I've ever created. She's so much fun, and it's everything that she says about how is that possible? How can you do that? She has this unbelievably grounded, real way that, like, yeah, that could probably work.
Yeah, and I like that she is completely self-sustaining. She inherited her father's genius, but she's like way more competent than him in every way. She owns her own house and everything, which it had me curious, like why at the end does she even need to be adopted? It seems like she has a better head on her shoulders than most adults that I know.
Yeah, it's because she wants love. I mean, she wants that. She wants
the family.
She wants the family.
Yeah,
that's why as soon as she that I did need a real moment in the movie, and that's why they have that moment in the car, because I was like, if I'm going to have a real moment, I want you to see Alpha Dog and have him have a chance to explain why he's Alpha Dog. How'd you become this character? So I think it adds a great dynamic to his character, and then the connection to her, because she sees how broken he is and he sees how broken she is, even though she's tough, and that's they kind of bond underneath all this facade. Not to go too deep about C.I.Ape too, but I'm just saying.
Well, it's good to take your characters seriously, and I think that a flaw in the first movie is that I don't think the screenwriter really gave a shit. So the fact that you are trying is like so much better.
You could tell that with any script. I mean, when you start to look at it, I mean, I've been getting lucky to read scripts like Minari, Reagan. I didn't get to read Killers of the Flower Moon, but I read the book. So I'm starting to really understand more and more good writing, good scripting. And so when something bad comes along, you're like, wow, do I even want to audition for this? It's hard to get the lines out because they're so clunky sometimes. So, and you can just tell there's no care there. That's just a paycheck. That's just a sausage factory. That happens sometimes. I don't want to say that about the first C.I.Ape because, there was a script there. It got kind of jarbled just because I think of budget stuff and couldn't do certain things. But they cared. They wanted
it sounds to me like the best parts of the movie you just made up on the spot. So... We
kind of did. I mean, we talked about it. And when you see the movie, there is a little bit of a kind of brick wall moments going from the Bondi character and her family drama to my over-the-top silliness. It almost, is a little... I feel that maybe everything should have been a little sillier. But, it wasn't my movie to make. But I think in the sequel, if we do this, I think all that's fleshed out and everything has an even tone throughout it. And you're not, clashing with any kind of tones through the script. I'm really proud of keeping a fun, light tone. I also had in the back of my mind, whenever I got stuck, would just think Ted Lasso, to keep it. And that meant to me, keep it light and fun.
Right. Yeah, when it comes to kids' movies, when I hear the C word, and by that I mean cancer, it's you might as well have just said like Hitler, like at a debate, like, oh my God, why is this in here? Please don't say that. But it is what it is.
That was the stat. Well, that was also for the first movie. That's the storyline. So,
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is in the first movie, like the plot's about a mom has cancer, the parents got divorced. Like kids don't want to watch that.
Yeah, that was, I think it went a little bit heavy there, but, it's one of those things that I think the filmmaker learned after the fact. And it's like, yeah, you know what, that didn't quite mesh the way I wanted it to. So, he's a great guy, great filmmaker, Ali Zamani, AZ, and he really loves this script. He was really excited about it. I mean, he still is. So we're really championing it. He's behind me 100%. He's actually just did a fun little sci-fi horror movie. It's Angels Fallen, Warriors of Peace 2. It's kind of this demon hunting movie, but he got Cuba Gooding Jr. and like Denise Richards and some other people, and just shooting a lot of green screen and having fun, trying to do with what he can, the budget he has of great camera effects and all this, trying to make it look as big Hollywood movie as you can on like half the budget, So he's very good at being efficient. I think that he comes back this time. We do the sequel. I think it's going to be just so well done because I wrote it in a way where it's like a car movie. I wanted peel outs and burnouts and, slow motion shots going around corners and montage, just make it fun I wanted to make a movie for kids that was cool, fun, had, hot rod car in it, a tough 8-year-old and a, super silly villain that could pull anything out of the pockets of his pants. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite moments is the elevator when you just cut to him randomly. He's revving a chainsaw going, I forgot I even had this. Yeah. I think that type of stuff sends the kids over the moon. I watch my daughter watch all these kids' movies, and I watch very closely at what makes her laugh out loud. And I kept that in mind while writing because I just was every page. I'm like, I want it to be funny. I want it to be funny.
That is perfect. Having a kid who is like the exact age range of the audience of the film, you basically have a front row access at all times to see what kids actually enjoy. And that might also have been an issue with the other movie. Maybe they didn't hang out with kids too much.
I feel this one's very in tune with kids just because Alpha Dog is a kid. I mean, he's just a kid. There's, except when he drops the facade, you see who's behind the mask, but he's just this playful, fun person that's always smiling,
Yeah,
She's
even
like,
locked up in prison, he's happy.
He's oblivious to everything around him. Like they're arguing that one moment, she's like, we need to, wait, what do you mean? He's like, were you even listening? Probably not. What happened? You were standing right here.
Yeah, he's like the Bugs Bunny energy, charismatic, wacky character that carries the movie, and that's again why making him the focus and throwing out C.I.Ape halfway through, I think that is the key to this film's success. So I hope that the petition works. Link in the description again, everybody. Is there anything else that you want me to link down there?
I'll say one thing, and I had this idea that making a photorealistic character like they try to do in C.I.Ape is very difficult and very expensive. So when you don't have the money, it's easy to pick on it because it just doesn't look right.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. I was like, well, what if he's not a photorealistic CGI character? What if he's a cartoon character? And then when you go in the supervillain bar, a couple of the characters are cartoon characters that are in the background. You don't need to address it. It's just like that. You accept it as that world.
Yeah, and kids don't even think twice about it, so they'd be totally down.
Almost a Roger Rabbit type of thing you're moving into, which could be, I think, I could easily be wrong, but I think it would be cheaper.
If it is, then I would say, yeah, that's the way to go.
Outside of that, my favorite character at the supervillain bar is the Balloon Man.
Oh, he ties up the
he comes out with his machine gun balloon. He's just making the noise.
Yeah.
I don't know why I love dumb shit like that, but it just makes me laugh all day.
Eggy, did you have any last thoughts, Eggy?
Well, I want to just reiterate that the audience should go sign this petition, bring this beautiful cinema to life, and get a chance, a little extra. I mean, it's going to be good already, but a little extra possibility, very strong likelihood to see myself and Mr. Simian Jimmy in a truly moving scene. I mean, when I read that dialogue to tell that grown man to stop licking a guinea pig cage, it was just so it really, I don't want to say random because that gets thrown around a lot, but it just really came out of left field for me, and I burst into uproarious chuckling while reading that. So I can only imagine when it's all together. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. We want you, the audience, to help us bring this to life. Click that link below. That's all I've got. Thank you.
And, I think that we could get this done. The executives, some of them hadn't read it yet just because they haven't had time. A couple of producers and executives, it was over the holidays. We're just coming out of that. They literally had babies over the holidays. So, everything's moving a little bit slower than maybe it normally would. But they like it. They're interested. And I think if I came to them with 20, 30,000 signatures or something, they'd be like, yeah, okay, let's go.
Yeah, holy shit.
Because the budget, you almost cover your budget with that many signatures are going. That many people are already going to watch it, and then they're going to tell people, okay. So we're starting way ahead of what a lot of the other projects they do as far as, risk to return.
And I'll say, I respect that you are a professional, and let me even say sane individual as a human being, because I had a similar opportunity to this many years ago with this man named Derek Savage, who was he makes the Cool Cat movies, and he wanted me as Simian Jimmy to be the villain in the film, and I helped him fundraise it and everything. And then he's just like such an unprofessional piece of shit as a human, and yes, I'm saying that. Like he goes back on everything, he lies to everybody, he steals everybody's money, no refunds, takes me out of the movie, and 5 years later, he has still not made the movie, and I ended up making it myself. So thank you, Skip, for being a real human being and a real hero. Well, I try. One thing I did want to say, that's a line I stole from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's Brad Pitt at the end. Well, I try. Mm-hmm. Is that in this movie, if you notice in the script, there was something that I was very adamant about going into it. My daughter watches all these shows. Like right now, she's in love with playing Minecraft or like Animal Crossing, which I love because she plays it on creative mode. So there isn't really any violence. Except I'm like, what are you doing, honey? Dropping a pig from the sky? But
she does it, the ocular assault that comes at kids with violence in everything. She was watching a cartoon. I'm like, what are you watching? I look over, they got these big swords, and I'm like, big battle axe. I'm like, what are you watching? And it was just this kid that said TVY7. I'm like, that's for a 7-year-old?
Yeah.
So when I went into this script, I'm like, I don't want any real violence. I don't want any guns. I don't want any knives. So even the super weapon that's in it is a very innocent, funny weapon.
Yes.
That even when you come out of it, you're just like, hey, let's do it again. Like, what? Wait.
Yeah, everybody who's affected by it ultimately is pretty happy they went through the experience.
Right. So and that was very important to me. I didn't want to see the violence. But the other weapon that you really see is a potato gun.
Right. And the person who gets hit deserves it, so it's fine.
Right. But I just tried to stay away from that. And I'm very proud that the script works really well, even without it all. I think it works better without it all. There's an innocence that lives, I think, in this movie. I don't keep going too deep, but I really wanted it to be sweet and innocent. It was very important to me because I think that, and again, going too far, overthinking it, but we're coming out of a time of so much darkness and everyone just bleak and sad. And I'm like, okay, let's start laughing. When I saw Ted Lasso, I'm like, yes, more of this. There was a new History of the World Part 2 TV series. More of this stuff. Let's laugh. Let's have fun. So that, to me, is all I want C.I.Ape to be. I just want you to have a laugh for an hour and a half and, go to bed with a smile. You don't have to remember it the next day. Just enjoy it that night.
Well, I mean,
beautifully said.
I think they'll remember it. I mean, C.I.Ape 1 lives rent-free in my head still to this day, so don't you worry.
I will say, the concept, the premise, it's still in a league of its own, so I think that will also help it when we see the sequel come to fruition and all the positivity, unique aspects. And I think that it's going to definitely carve out its spot at a higher rung in the cinema echelon. Step up from the first film, but all in a lot of goodness and joy, and I'm going to be excited to see it happen.
I can guarantee we'll get a higher IMDb average score on this one than the original. That's the goal.
I just always tell people, I'm just like, look, I was in the worst and one of the best movies of the year in 2020.
That's right.
Year for me.
Literally right, yes. That's why you're the Renaissance man.
If you want to see me being a bit more normal, even almost kind of like the way I'm acting now, there's a movie called Breaking Them Up. That is on Amazon. You can rent it. I can't remember where else, but you can get it on Amazon. Kellen Coleman is in it. Steven Schneider. Kellen played Dwight Schrute's girlfriend in The Office for a season. So, and I play her love interest in it. It's a romantic comedy. I co-star in it with her, and it was a lot of fun. It was like the first big thing I ever got. And I got it on a Sunday, and I had to start on Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't even go to the table read because I was working on another movie. So I went right from that and that, and it was the first shot of this movie, of the whole production. I go in, and what's the first thing is I have to do a monologue in front of Kellen. And I'm like, way to not put the pressure on. I'm new. So, but it's a cute, fun little movie. So if you ever get the chance, check out Breaking Them Up. And there's a bunch of others out there that I pop up in. So have fun looking for Skip Schwink at your local. God damn it, there's no more blockbusters.
When we also do a movie review podcast, and I'm without a doubt going to do Killers of the Flower Moon. Would it be a conflict of interest for you to review that movie with us when it comes out?
I'm a glorified extra that could easily be on the cutting room floor. Would be surprised if I wasn't. So no conflict of interest. No one's going to give a shit what I say.
Awesome. That'd be so cool to have you there. And would you like to come back on this show? Because I would love to have you anytime.
Anytime. I love talking about movies. I love talking about myself. That's why I'm an actor.
So
my friend was asking me, he's like, sometimes you could be a bit of a narcissist. I'm like, sometimes, yeah. You know why? Because somewhere in my mind, I think that people want to go pay $20 and sit in a dark theater for 2 hours and hang out with me.
That's
It takes
right.
a lot of balls to think the public at large wants to do that.
Yeah, we think that people want to listen to us talk for an hour, so we're right there with you.
Right. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, I'm just going to put this out here because I think I'm good.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to have a link to your Instagram and your petition. Anything else before we say goodbye?
I could leave you with one funny story.
Okay.
It's a Robert De Niro story. So I'm talking to De Niro, and we're just chatting. And the thing is, when you're talking to De Niro, he's De Niro. So all these characters you've seen and his gestures, his mannerisms, we've gotten so, it's him. He's not putting on character. And actor a long time ago said, wrap yourself around the character, not the character around you. Otherwise you're trapped. So when you wrap yourself around it, all your mannerisms can come out. So just his normal mannerisms. We were talking about an injury he had on set, and he had messed up his leg, and he was like, yeah, and he just kiked up his leg, pan a little bit, was showing me this scar. It looked great. Looked like it almost happened like 10 years ago. I was like, wow, that looks really good. He's like, he looks at me and does this De Niro thing with his hands, and he's like, yeah, it's good. It's good, doctor. It's good, doctor. And I was just in my mind, I'm going, don't fucking laugh. So we're talking, and I'm getting comfortable, and I'm like, yeah, I just started a kids movie. I play a supervillain in this new Lionsgate film. I got the trailer, and he knew right away what I was doing. And he's like, yeah, it's okay. It's probably better for my daughter. It's okay. Thanks, though. And I'm just in my mind going, I just got blown off by Robert De Niro. I get to go to the premiere of Killers of the Flower Moon. Remember me? Yeah, I do. But, I'm good. Thanks. It's okay.
C.I.Ape too. I don't really care.
C.I.Ape too? I didn't know there was a one. Good luck with that, buddy.